This video is sponsored by World of Warships. Stick around to find out more about how you can dominate the seas in this massive free-to-play historical wargame. Stargate has its fair share of memorable villains, from pompous tyrants like Ra and Apophis, scheming conmen like Baal, and space demigods like Adria. But the best villain in all of Stargate comes not from SG-1, but Atlantis, in the form of Connor Traneer's Michael. Not only is Michael a sympathetic villain with an interesting motivation, but he also embodies one of Stargate's core narrative ideas, and the circumstances of his creation generate personal conflict with pretty much every member of the Atlantis cast. He's such a good villain that even after so many appearances, there's still untapped potential with this character. An important element which distinguishes Stargate from that other popular sci-fi TV icon Star Trek is the lack of a prime directive. There is no non-interference policy in the Stargate program. Right from the start, humanity sprints onto the interplanetary stage and straight up assassinates the head of state of the largest galactic superpower there is. None of that, it's not our place to decide what the next course of, nah, all your gods are fake, here are machine guns. This key element is what makes Stargate so rewarding to watch over time and generates some of Stargate's best stories. As viewers, we get to see humanity grow from a gate-hopping skirmishing force to a galactic superpower. But this journey to becoming a spacefaring civilization doesn't happen painlessly. From the very first Atlantis episode, the expedition makes a crucial mistake in waking up the Wraith well before their next feeding cycle. This mistake costs the Jedi the chance to finish and deploy their nukes, puts countless worlds in the Pegasus galaxy at risk of a culling, and eventually precipitates a Wraith civil war and the campaign of attrition by the Azurans. A shocking amount of major story arcs in the show happen as a direct result of the Atlantis expedition's actions. Michael is a walking symbol of the consequences of humanity's interference. The morality of forcibly converting a Wraith into a human is pretty grey to begin with.
But what you did to me...
We did the same. To survive.
I thought you were trying to help me.
What's your point?
We're not as different as you think.
But regardless of their intention, the Lanteans' efforts unleash a dangerous enemy onto themselves and the rest of the Pegasus galaxy. I think it's worth restating just how formidable Michael is as a foe. Being an outcast among humans and Wraith, Michael usually fights as something of an underdog. He doesn't command fleets of starships or large armies, yet he often goes head-to-head with those who do. The episode The Last Man makes it clear that if Michael ever did acquire that kind of power, he'd basically be unstoppable. Perhaps Michael got so good at ship-to-ship combat thanks to today's sponsor, World of Warships. I'm honestly immensely happy to promote World of Warships here because I've literally been playing it for years. Seriously, ask me on my Discord and we can play together. If you're not familiar, World of Warships is a free-to-play naval warfare game where you take command of history's most iconic warships and battle it out in massive online multiplayer matches. For the Trekkies among you, which if you're watching my channel I'm assuming is most of you, World of Warships is currently doing a Star Trek collaboration. Log into the game now to unlock a unique Star Trek port, and complete a special chain of combat missions to get one of the thematic commanders for free. Players can unlock 4 new Star Trek commanders, Picard, Spock, Gowron, and Sela, special Star Trek customizations such as patches, flags, camos, unique ship skins, and more. Click the link in the description to download World of Warships. Use the promo code FINALFRONTIER to unlock a special Jean-Luc Picard commander, 2 Star Trek containers, a tier 4 ship unlocked after 15 battles, 200 doubloons, 1 million credits, and 7 days of premium account access for free. Just follow the link in the description and we can get a match going in no time. Thank you once again to World of Warships for sponsoring this video, and now back to it. On top of his strategic skills, Michael is smart, resourceful, ruthless, and physically as well as psychically powerful. This is a man who went toe-to-toe with Rowan Dex and actually won, something not even Teal'c could do. The only reason Taylor and Shepard were able to defeat him was because he was injured and outnumbered. Beforehand, Michael was just another Wraith, but due to the Lanteans' interference, he became something much more dangerous. Even so, this is still Stargate after all, so there's a slightly tongue-in-cheek theatricality to it all. The Wraith in general owe a lot to gothic horror, what with their vampiric nature, aristocratic dress, and haunted house-like spaceships. And if the Wraith are Dracula, Michael is equal parts Phantom of the Opera and Victor Frankenstein. Other Stargate villains like Baal are certainly more amusing, but there's an operatic nature to Michael's story which stops the angst from ever becoming dull. However, what makes Michael the best Stargate villain is what he represents to each of the main characters. There's an obvious connection between Michael and Taylor. As she is part Wraith, she's the only one who could ever come close to understanding what Michael feels, and is the only one to show Michael some genuine kindness. In some ways, Michael becomes Taylor's dark reflection. While she comes to terms with her heritage and embraces it as part of her identity, Michael is consumed by hatred. The two often meet as enemies, but there's also a great deal of sympathy and even admiration between the two. Deep down, Taylor wants nothing more than to help Michael, and in a sense, Taylor is at peace with something he is struggling to reconcile within himself. Then there's John Shepard. Beneath the winking humour and action man antics, Shepard's most apparent trait is his stubbornness. He has a history of disobeying orders and doing what he feels is right, regardless of the chain of command. Furthermore, he never second-guesses himself. If he has to do something ugly, it's because he feels there's no other choice, and he won't apologize for it. Dr. Weir, meanwhile, is the inverse of Shepard. As a civilian, she often has to prove herself as a worthy leader to the various military officers who pass through the city. Despite her lack of military experience, Weir is capable of making the tough calls. But she is often left pondering whether her command decisions are the right ones. Michael's existence makes both characters second-guess themselves. Will Shepard learn some humility and admit he's made a mistake? And will Dr. Weir be able to live with herself? These are fascinating questions which open up great avenues for storytelling. For Carson Beckett, a man who took the Hippocratic Oath, Michael clearly suffered as a result of a medical procedure Beckett inflicted on him. How he reconciles that with his conscience is an interesting question. Then there's Rowan. As a former runner whose homeworld was destroyed by the Wraith, he never accepted Michael as human to begin with, and yet because of this, he won Michael's grudging respect.
I guess I should thank you. You're the only one around here who's been honest with me from the start.
They have a warrior's rivalry, with both of them just itching to have it out once and for all. McKay is pretty much the only one who doesn't have some kind of personal conflict with Michael, but hey, 5 out of 6 is pretty impressive. One of the reasons I feel seasons 4 and 5 of Atlantis are weaker than the preceding 3 is due to the cast changes weakening Michael's plotline. With the loss of both Beckett and Weir, we never got to see them have their final confrontation with Michael. Taylor and Michael's conflict comes to a definitive end, but I can't help but feel there was so much more that could have been done with Michael. Other Stargate villains were certainly more fun, with bigger personalities, but when it comes to narrative richness, Michael is easily Stargate's best villain. Thank you for watching. If you like what I do and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button and bell icon to stay up to date with new uploads. To see videos early, jump over to my Patreon where you can see them uncut and ad-free. I'd like to thank all of my patrons and members, with an ultra thanks to Eamon Kelly, Michael Hardy, Ian Hodge, County Ark, Mike Halsey, Retro PC Gamer, Benjamin Stokes, Hiroshi the Dog, Movie Magic, Charles Borsam, Olivia Computer, Bano, Extreme Streamers, Tom, Dusk, Colin Camille, Patrick Fleming, Matthew Camille, Ed Mark Starr, Dylan Thomas, Lilac Yane, Howard Craig Kervik, and Kajing G. Until next time, have a good one, guys.